If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in a Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch, indeed, and y'all shall eat them.
To buy our merch.
Doesn't that violate the rule against perpetuities, though? I don't think so.
All right, you guys, song number 2 on The Imperishable Flames.
The Imperishable Flame.
Coming up next is a song by the band Emperor. The name of the song is An Elegy of Icarus.
Hey, Emperor is like a legendary black metal band,
Yeah.
I think. I'm pretty sure. The guy's name is Ishan, I think his name is. Okay. Emperor is one of the better known examples of the second wave of black metal, see?
Boom.
And you've heard a few of their songs, but so far it's all been from their earlier work. Their latter 2 albums spun in neoclassical and baroque elements into the guitar work that I think really set them apart from the rest of the bands from that movement, second wave black metal. This track is from their 1999 album, is a 10 Equilibrium, titled An Elegy to Icarus. Also, the lyrics are super rad. That was Negative Vibes.
All right, nigga, let's check it out.
You guys know this, Icarus, right? Too high to the sun, all that jazz.
Yeah,
Let's do it. All right, here we go. Emperor, an Elegy of Icarus. Let's go. I was about to play along. Everybody always notices I only play air guitar when it's the easy shit. Okay, so it dawned on me. We all know the story of Icarus, but maybe there's some millennials and zillennials that don't know the story.
Yep.
So there's Icarus. What was he on? Was he on an island or something? Was he a prison island?
They were on a prison. Yeah, I thought they were prisoners on an island.
His
A
dad
father
was
and
like a tinker. He was like invent shit, and so his dad like invented these like wax wings and shit.
Yeah.
It was like, yo, we can take these wings and we can fly off this island, bro. And it's like, really, for real? Sure enough, put on the wings. It's like going on the wings of the wind, dear listener.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your boy Icarus was like, well, shit, this is fun. So obviously, if you're a kid and you're flying, what are you gonna do? They're gonna fly higher. Yo, stop flying so close to the sun, bro. Your feathers, you know, your contraption is made of wax.
Yeah, it's gonna melt, and you're gonna lose all those feathers.
So he went up to the sky, into the star of the sun, right? And then he crash landed because the wax melted, and that was the end of him. He couldn't keep the feathers together, and he crashed to a horrible death.
Yikes.
And Icarus has kind of always kind of been, for me, emblematic of a concept that really troubled me to this day. Well, there are two things that troubled me. One was in the Old Testament, the Tower of Babel. They were saying, we're going to build a tower to heaven. Actually said, we're going to build a city in a tower that reaches up to heaven so we can make a name for ourselves, is actually what the text says. And it says that Yahweh looked on them and says, it says he came down to see their temple.
Yep.
I mean, their ziggurat, whatever. And it's hilarious because like he had to come down to see it. They said they're going to build it up to heaven, and so the text makes a very clear point to say that God had to come down. What's that? Like, what are y'all building down there?
Yeah.
You thought you were gonna, you know. But it's interesting. He said a phrase, and it always used to fuck with me. He said, now he said, see, now they're of all language, and they're
Yep.
one purpose. So nothing will be impossible for them.
Yeah.
And so, and then it says God confused their language and split them up and all the rest of it. That always used to bug me. Then that was one of those things that like bothers you about the Bible, but you're not allowed to say.
Why
You know
did it
what I'm saying?
bother
It's
you? Because the people got all separated, or
Well, because God's like nothing will be impossible for them. So like God is afraid that they're going to build this tower up to heaven, and He's like, oh no, they're so powerful now that they're so we got to do something to screw this up because they might challenge us. That's how I interpreted it as a kid.
okay.
So, you know, it's one of those things like I'm not going to ask that question because I knew by that time, like, that's not a question you ask in church, bro. It's definitely not a question you ask in Sunday school because usually it's the person who's just like willing to read a Bible that gets shoved down there in a little Sunday school, little 8-year-old brats. So I knew dude wasn't going to answer my 8-year-old question, but I was like, yo, that's kind of weird. Like, why is it's like God is intimidated by these people? Then there was an Antichrist movie, like one of them end time movies, like the end of the world movies. And like the whole thing about the Antichrist, he created this like doctrine of oneness, okay? And so it's like ONE, one, for one nation earth. And so in order for you to basically live, you had to commit to one nation earth, right? So like no more of this Christianity shit where you're saying that there's people that go to heaven and hell. No, it's like we're all one nation earth under the Antichrist. And so he was talking about how I'm here to bring out human capacity because we have godlike capacity. And then he said, and God knows this, and this is the reason why he wanted us all divided. And he quoted the Tower of Babel and said, see, now they're together, nothing will be impossible for them. So he was like, God knows that when we come together, nothing will be impossible. We can even destroy him. And I'm like, bro, that was how I interpreted Genesis when God said, look, nothing will be impossible for them. So like, how I was like, holy shit, the Antichrist is telling the truth. That's what it says. So when I was looking at Icarus, when I was looking at Icarus, I was like, yo, I'm like, this is another thing that troubles me because I'm like, what is the message of this story? Is it that human ingenuity, curiosity, or human achievement because like we all understand what was going on with dude. Like he's high off of this crazy, like it actually worked, and this dude was actually defying gravity, bro.
Yeah.
And like we get on airplanes and shit, it's like you're kind of contained in them.
Yeah.
Like you know you're defying gravity because you look outside of the window. You feel me? But like actually being up there and like we know what was going on. He's probably bloodstream completely flooded with adrenaline and shit. So of course you're gonna go and do all that. But it's like, yo, like what's that message? Like the message was always disturbing because it's like, what are you saying? Are you saying that we should not strive for the sun? Like, are you saying we shouldn't strive for that? Are you saying that because the wax got melted and shit and he pummeled to the ground that means that the next dude shouldn't do that? Because we're watching this thing about the moon landing. Okay, I don't know. To be honest with you guys, Sori's completely like, she's out on the moon landing. I'm more like, I'm questioning it.
You'd have to like really bring me some information to convince me. I need to be convinced.
I mean, there's nothing I can do.
I need to be convinced of the moon landing at this point because everything that I'm seeing, I'm like, yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah, Mesopotamia. Yeah, Nelson. The of the Chaldees. So like, I'm like, you know, that's, you know, obviously I think Archero's point is better. Don't ignore the wisdom of your elders. Right. It's not.
See,
go ahead.
I think part of the story too is that it was the construction of the father that brought the wings, and
Right.
it was the pride and lack of experience on the side of the son
Right.
that pummeled him to his death. So if that's the thing about wisdom, right? Because wisdom is just not like understanding of like what is the right answer, but wisdom is you can adjust with as things change, you adjust with it because there's a principle that's kind of like leading it. So we see this with our kids, you know, like, and I guess everybody, like when we get things in our hands that we can actually do something with, you can decide to go and build something with it, or you can use it to destroy yourself, you know, and in this case, the father gave the son what he would need to escape. And he also gave him the warnings, but
He did.
you know, the kid believed he knew better than his father, but he wasn't even the one that created it. So he should have listened to the warnings of his father. And I think that it kind of echoes the story in Genesis where you have God the Father is walking with Adam and Eve and he gives them some instruction. He gives them the entire garden. He says, this is all yours. Like literally all of it. The only thing that you can't have is that one, the tree of the knowledge and good and evil. And it doesn't mean that God wasn't going to give them deeper understandings of evil and good and what that all entailed. But at that point in time, they didn't come into the world as babies. They came as grown people, you know, so as they were going to grow, and as they grew, God was going to show them more and more things. But obviously they took what was given to them that they hadn't created. And then they kind of made their own rules. And then they went and take from it. The same thing I think happened with Icarus and his son. Icarus is the father?
No, Icarus is the son.
Icarus is the son. You know, where the father, he has this creation, and the son believes that he can flip the interpretation and look at it his own way and do his own thing. And then as he's flying closer and closer to the sun, the father's watching, you know, his own demise. And it's, you know, it's one of those situations where it's, even as a parent, like, you always are wondering, like when I'm talking to my kids, I'm like, how much information you give them and how much information you withhold from them. It's always kind of like this dance. And
Daedalus is the father. That's right.
Daedalus?
Yeah.
Oh, right. So, yeah, having
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
wisdom with ingenuity is important.
kids turn a certain age and you know, they know everything. So,
And we turn a certain age, we do everything too. Like, you see memes about it. It's like, it's kind of,
it's not really true.
you weren't like that?
My older brother never knew everything. He never did.
But your
And
brother was an anomaly.
I never thought I knew everything. I just thought nobody can fuck with me. See what I'm saying? I was like, oh, if anything, I'll just.
Uh-huh.
So I knew, you know what I'm saying? Like I knew that but I did not know my limitations. And then you find out your limitations real quick and you go, holy shit, I'm not indestructible. Just because you know this concept, man, they don't care about that shit. Boy, they'll shoot you, boy.
Right. Damn.
Man, you're gonna shoot me? Why? Why wouldn't they shoot you? He'd ask me, he's like, why wouldn't they shoot you, bro? I'm like, nigga, it's me. That's why they would shoot you, bro.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a common story. I do like Archero's, don't ignore the wisdom of the elders lesson.
Yeah.
That's what you should take out of the Icarus story. And I think that's the better interpretation. It's the same thing with the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel, God was not afraid that they were going to literally go to heaven. Obviously, in the ancient Near East, that term meant to commune with the gods. Yep. And they wanted to use the temple as a sort of channeling portal in order to interface with these gods. Because newsflash to people in the modern world, people in the ancient Near East didn't really believe that their statues contained divine power inherently. What they believed was that there was some sort of hypostasis between their god in that dimension and some sort of incantation that brought the essence of that god into the idol as a sort of container for you to have that user interface, because we're on a physical platform. So that was the ideology of what was going on. And God is saying, if they do this, they will spread this falsehood and this synthetic religion across the world, and nobody will know the truth and be in right relationship with God. So that was the situation there. It wasn't that God was intimidated or afraid. I mean, subhanAllah, he had just flooded the earth. As a matter of fact, one of the explanations in Josephus for why the Tower of Babel was built was to get high enough so as to avoid the next flood. Because the idea was, man, we're not listening to nothing. You killed all of our parents and all this shit, man. Fuck you. We're going to do our own thing. And if you try to flood us next time, we're going to build a tower and we're going to be able to survive this shit. And so God was like, let me come down and see a little, this is what y'all doing. So, no, it's the same thing like the Adam and Eve story. It's like this Prometheus thing. Prometheus came to give knowledge, and why would a person not want knowledge and all the rest of it? And I think your guys from Lord of Spirits hit it on the head. If you saw some shadowy figure talking to a 3-year-old, right? And then you turn around and that 3-year-old is carrying a butcher knife given to him.
Oh my gosh.
By the shadowy figure. The first thing you would do is take the knife out of the hand of the 3-year-old.
Yep.
The second thing you would do is you would call the police.
Yep.
You would not turn that knife on that guy. You would call the police. And the reason you call the police is because you would say, you putting a knife in the hands of a 3-year-old is this is a gross negligence, and it's non-different from you actually stabbing the child.
Yeah. And
so it's like, if the guy was like, listen, I was explaining with the child how to use the knife, and you say he's fucking 3. He doesn't have an understanding of what a laceration is or what a femoral artery is, you moron.
Yeah.
So there must be something other than you just wanted to give this child knowledge on how serrated edges work. You had another agenda.
Oh, they use this example?
So this idea that all knowledge is good knowledge and we're supposed to know everything at one time is, first of all, completely disproven just by being a parent. Mm-hmm. But we're in a generation now where we hate kids, so many of us aren't parents. Take it from a parent. There are degrees of knowledge that you purposely hold back from your children for good reasons.
Yeah, 100%.
And so there's always going to be a balance between human ingenuity, our drive to know, to explore, to invent, because we are image bearers of God and we were told to exercise dominion over the earth, and I believe ultimately over the universe. And so there's that drive to invent and things like that. But then there's things like cloning. Okay, and there's the AI.
Yep.
All right, and it's like, I was Rogan or Musk. He's like, we don't have the discipline to be able to invent something and then say we shouldn't do that.
I mean, look at what we did with the atomic bomb.
Yeah. And then you got
hardly had that delivered before. I don't know
if you guys saw what was the name of that movie?
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer. And toward the climax, obviously it's about the bomb. He has this sort of paternal relationship with the bomb, where he's kind of like this proud father looking at his son. And when they did the first test and it actually went off, there was all this pride and like, oh, look at my boy. And it was like, yo.
This is...
And that's why I was like, yo, if I was a Japanese American, I'd be so fucking offended by this fucking movie, bro. Because they were just like bit players in his like internal drama. They were just kind of there. It's like pawns in his internal drama. Like, oh, look, these poor Japanese people. Their faces are melting. And poor Oppenheimer has to deal with it. And he has to somehow reconcile his love of chasing this and beating the Russians with his, really, he was a really good guy. He's a real humanitarian, even though he knew building something that was going to completely devastate hundreds of thousands of fucking people. So, I mean, that dude was shaitan, bro. He was completely shaitan. So, fuck him and everybody.
I think also that knowledge before its time has the potential of creating a lot of fear. If you don't understand something, it can be a sort of fearful thing. And I think that God gives us certain understanding and certain knowledges of things when it's time for it. Because if we have it before, I think part of the reason why he has to say, fear not, or don't be afraid 365 times in the Bible is because we took from that tree. And if we hadn't taken from that tree, we would have been exposed to everything that we need to be exposed to at intervals when it made sense to us and as we could acclimate to it. But I think that we opened ourselves up.
And as long as we had the maturity to be able to handle that kind of power.
Right. But I think that we sort of opened Pandora's box, so to speak,
100%.
when we grabbed that. And now we're all kind of reaping the benefits of that.
100%. 100%.
100%.
I like this quote. I'm going to end the review this way. That's the whole point of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Humans are, to quote Jurassic Park, we didn't think on if we should.
That's right.
Like, just because we could.
Yep.
And that
we didn't ask ourselves
is the difference between knowledge and wisdom.
Yep.
Knowledge will say, hey, here's the key to the safety deposit box of Dad's gun. Wisdom will say, yeah, but we're 6, so we know what the fuck we're doing with the gun.
Yeah.
Do you know what you're doing with the power that God has given you to choose? Do you know? Really? Are you sure?
Some things should be left as theory.
It's very cool to see that on Jurassic Park and say, we should have left that one alone. On what basis? Why? All of us know that there's some sort of dance between human ingenuity and progress and humility and, to your point, Pandora's box that can open hell, the port of the hell that we cannot close, which is what we did with the atomic bomb. We opened a portal to hell.
Yep.
That since that time, the entire fucking planet has been under this cloud, so much so that is like one of the number one theories of UFOs, UAPs, or whatever. Pretty much took off after 1948, right, in a post-nuclear world. And their theory is that these beings are like, holy shit, you guys figured out how to split the atom, and instead of like giving free energy to everybody, you guys found a way to fucking murder each other. Whoa, we gotta start like superintending this situation. Now look, I don't think that those beings are I think that is part of why they're doing what they're doing. I think it's clearly demonstrated that these beings have been able to shut down our nuclear arsenal and simultaneously in Russia arm them. And we were the two nuclear powers, like, in the pissing contest at the time. And those beings basically said, man, you guys are not in control of none of this shit. You got to press one button. You guys are done for. So it was like, it was crazy because with the Americans, it was completely disabled. With the Russians, it was abled and then armed and then aimed toward us. So the guys, go look this up. This is open source. It's pretty crazy. Shout out to Magnum Norse.
Shout out to you.
When I saw that, I was like, damn, like that has a massive implications for all of us, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it is interesting too because, like you said, like sometimes we don't ask ourselves if we should, just if we could. And
well, that was Riv. I want to give Riv the credit for that.
Yeah, when we're talking about like knowledge, and I'm pretty sure in Oppenheimer they had even said it like, everything is theory until it's tested.
Yeah.
So there's this like, we have this concept of what it could be, but we don't actually know until we reach for it and we take it and we take a friggin' bite. And that's exactly what Eve did. She reached out, she took a bite of it, and everything changed. And I think same thing happened with that. He had this understanding, he had this idea that it could be really bad, but he reached out for that knowledge.
Did you see Biden?
No.
They tried to cast me Jurassic Park as a dinosaur. He says the dinosaurs if there's only...
Maybe it means the T-Rex.
He probably meant the T-Rex.
No, I'm not gonna. I'm
not laughing at the president. Okay, that's not really Joe Biden. I'm just like blown away by how fucking accurate both of these people are. Whoever they are, I'm just blown away by how accurate they are. Is like incarnating as both of those people because you could really hear Biden's voice when he said that. They try to cast me Jurassic Park as a dinosaur. Like, oh God, forgive me.
Oh boy.
9.1, dear listener.
8.6.
Okay. Hey,
We'll be coming right back with another song.
Oh man, Sori's giving it to y'all. Okay, guys. Little bit of chunky reviews, but we haven't seen you guys in a while, so you know we missed y'all. Okay, commercial break. We shall return, dear listener, for song number 3. If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed.
A child shall lead them to buy our merch.
People have no idea. Snoop Dogg is battling Eminem for the most iconic white rapper. Such a brilliant line. Because Snoop Dogg came out and endorsed Trump.
Oh.
Because I keep trying to tell my liberal friends, like, black people are done with Joe Biden. I keep trying to tell y'all. Nobody wants to listen to me. Oh, shut up. What do you know about it, Negro? We know what the blacks want.
Oh, blacks?
The blacks?
Oh, gosh.
Wasn't that what lady was saying today in the store?
Someone
the blacks.
Wait,
or she said what did she say? The poor people?
The food stamp people or something.
Hey, shout out to a homegirl who is obviously living better than those people on food stamps. You know, I could tell by the... Anyway, all right.
Don't be miserable.
By the way, I Snoop, I thought was like overrated. Gin and Juice, loved it. Murder Was the Case, loved it. That's it. I don't think Snoop is a, and I'm not saying that because I'm an East Coast guy. I'm saying that because, like, I think Ice Cube is a top 5 rapper of all time. He's West Coast. It's not that. It's just, I'm not gonna say Snoop was trash, but Snoop is never, like, if you take Dr. Dre away from Snoop, Dr. Dre is like the Michael Jordan of like beat makers, okay?
Oh, he makes his beats?
Yeah, he does more than make beats. I mean, he's on a completely different level. The guy's got like 50 like number one, like he's insane.
Oh wow.
And
Maybe
so
you
yeah,
were.
you had Dr. Dre working on the record. Of course you're gonna blow. Like who? I mean, come on. Like I don't know. I just Snoop.
That changes
There's
things.
never been a line. There's never been a line where Snoop and I was like, oh shit, never. She said she saw my necklace and started reacting. Now that's what the fuck I call a chain reaction. Come on, man. I'm gonna have to explain that to you guys later on. Like somebody go ahead and put that in the thing. Explain that to me. Come on. I come at night with a long clip.
I know it's DeAndre Jordan.
DeAndre Jordan.
Oh. I thought there was something else in between.
Yeah, he said I come at night, put the 9T with the long clip, DeAndre Jordan. That's like a quadruple. Because this guy named DeAndre Jordan dunked on this guy named Knight, and Knight was number 9. So I come at night, put the 9T with the long clip, DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan plays for the Clippers, and he's long. He's like 6'11". So I come at night, N-I-G-H-T, K-N-I-G-H-T.
Yeah.
Come at night, put the 9 to him, because Knight wears number 9 with the long clip, DeAndre Jordan.
Get
Snoop
out of here.
has never, ever said anything like that relatively close.
Guys, don't forget to put the thumbs up in the video or the thumbs down, whichever you prefer. We've got the next song. What?
No, just okay. All right, song number 3. As I've just uttered hip hop, I really haven't uttered hip hop blasphemy. Most New York dudes feel that way about Snoop. I'm not gonna lie to you. Every time I die. Oh my God, that's the name of the. Wait, let me. Every time I die. That's the name of the band. The name of the song is Map Change. I like that.
SGS
like
says,
that.
play it. Get us some comments. I'll get them to you if I do so. Okay. You just play it, he says. Let's check it out.
All right. Well, hold on. Talk to the people while I get these lyrics. We got to get the lyrics because the lyrics are very important to us.
Okay.
Talk to the people.
I have this coffee that one of the children made for me in this cup because, well, long story short, this coffee is so gross, but it is helping me. It is helping me with caffeine. But I believe that the type of coffee that I made is just, well, I didn't make it, but
Shout out to
Major. They did
Major.
the best they could with what they had.
Shout out to Major Issues.
What's up, Dwayne? Oh, the moon landing. One of the things that I think is sus, and again, like, I don't necessarily trust my research. I'd like to sit down and kind of look at some stuff with you.
Babe, I got nothing for you.
They lost, to my understanding, they don't have the recording equipment from the original video that was recorded. They said they lost that and they don't know how to get that back. I have also heard that they don't even have the original footage, that they just have like a recording of that footage because the original footage, they accidentally recorded over it. Like, remember back in the day you could record over tapes? I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that stuff is true.
There was a NASA clip that's like, oh, we had it, but we lost it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that was like suspicious. I'm like, what do you mean? This is the most important moment and you lost it?
I think I'm going to be...
But we're in a rush to get there before the Soviets? Is that who it was? No.
I think I'm going to be probably a permanent agnostic on that topic. Like, the fact that people just like accept it is strange to me, especially people who like have a primer on skepticism.
Yeah.
It's like, but you're not skeptical about that?
Yeah.
People are like, oh, it's on TV. Like, no disrespect.
That's the thing that gets me too.
No disrespect at all. But the fact that it's on TV means nothing to me because I know.
Did they live stream like from the moon? Is that what they're saying happened? And we're expected to believe that? I'm sorry, but if that, I don't know if we saw like, if there was like supposedly some video recorder that they brought with them, recorded the whole thing, and then we saw it when they returned, or if they really expect us to believe that from the moon back in 1960, right? 1960?
1960 something, I don't know.
That they were live streaming from the fucking moon. And we've had, you guys have seen how many streams over the last 8 months have had to get rescheduled for internet issues. What?
Well, the thing that's fascinating is like Dwayne's like, sorry, gullible much. It's like Bro, you're the one that believes we went to the moon.
I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to give me some proof here because
She's the one that's being skeptical.
This stuff is not adding up.
Offer your proof.
And if you watch their interviews when they got back, those are weird.
Yeah, but I mean, if you were on the moon, like, I think you would be weird. Like, you just sat on like 400 tons of jet fuel and shit, like. You know, like,
I know, but it was the stuff that they said in answer to some of the questions. Listen to some of the stuff they said. Yeah.
I'm going to give them a pass for acting strange, like, after they just came from the moon. But I will say, like...
I'm saying they were acting strange about certain questions that were asked.
I will say, if you apply the principles of skepticism, there really isn't a lot of reason to believe that it happened. I'm sorry. Like, the fact that you saw it on TV.
We had motivation for why we needed to get there.
We had a complete motive. It makes complete sense. I'm not even mad at the government for doing it. It was the right thing to do. I'm an American. You know, however you get the W, man, get the fucking W, bro. I don't want the communists to take over.
Do you remember I remember seeing the footage and saying, that looks like a TV set. Like, that literally looks like a TV set. And then I thought to myself, wow,
that Kubrick,
the moon? Really? Just
that Kubrick thing is fake, though. That's been debunked. Like, he never did that. That was somebody that, you know. But yeah, like, I definitely think, like, this is a blind spot, especially. I'm very surprised that a lot of my atheist friends who make this big primer on skepticism are like, what are you talking about? I saw it on a TV screen. I'm like,
wait, what? That's your proof?
So I honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm agnostic on the moon landing. I don't know. I do think there's a lot of really weird shit. And I do think there's some things that NASA people have said that are really strange, okay, about the moon landing. Shout out to MJ. Long live the USA, baby.
Anyway, I mean, what?
See, God, I love you, Riv, but God. So atheists should say, for sure we didn't go if they're consistent. I said I'm agnostic. And I said, I'm surprised at some of my atheist friends who just believe it without applying the same rigorous standards of skepticism that they do about other topics. I didn't say that they should never believe it. Mm-hmm. I said personally I was agnostic on the matter. I was simply pointing out that when I asked most of my atheist friends, why do you believe that happened? The only thing they say is, well, they said they did it, it was on TV. That's literally it. And so if I said, well, I believe in God because a guy on TV said he saw God, you would laugh at me. Yeah. And you should. But...
yeah, I watched The Passion of the Christ.
But what... yeah!
Okay.
What? I mean, The Passion of the Christ was more realistic than the moon landing.
I mean...
okay? It was in color? It was in HD? I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm agnostic on it. You're more like... it didn't fucking happen.
I am like, you have to convince me that it did, because we have motivation for why we needed to land there before anybody else. All of a sudden, we have this big rush job. All of a sudden, we land there, we get it there. Everything is great. There was weird stuff, like when the equipment landed, there was no...
okay. Oh. Riv says you're out of your mind. I might be. So, Riv, what is the evidence that the moon landing happened?
Yeah. What's your evidence?
What's the evidence?
Yeah, maybe you know something we don't know.
Yeah, see, real science is fucking with people. He says, thousands worked on the moon landing. They all can't be lying. Yeah, because they didn't have a motivation. They didn't have a motivation to lie at all.
What a ridiculous thing to say. People will say that Christianity is not true. Well, thousands of people can't be lying. I mean, you can't use that.
Oh, look, Archero is saying, what would convince you, though? This is so fascinating.
Yeah, this is exactly what the argument you have.
I was talking to Seth Andrews a couple of years ago. I said, hey, he's like, I have no evidence for God. I said, what would convince you, Seth? He said, well, if God was there, he would know what would convince me. Get out of here, man.
Wait, sorry, it happened, though. Not said.
Look at major issues. The Earth is an oblong sphere. Major issues. if you don't understand that local realism really isn't a thing, you would realize that this moon conversation is almost moot. But we got to wait for people to update scientifically. Okay, here we go.
Delaney,
Okay,
you know
okay,
what I think?
okay. Hold on. Here's what, because I like what we have recordings.
But
Okay, Riv.
again,
How can you authenticate those recordings? Like, how do you know that those recordings are actually from the moon and not from a studio in California?
right.
And if you're looking at Occam's razor, what would Occam's razor say the best explanation for the moon landing would be? Like, this shit is crazy to me because, like, these all the atheist shit that they pull out when they're talking about the moon landing. Okay, we have recordings. Okay, throw that away. We have rocks.
How does that tell us anything? What do you?
I just don't get it. How do you know that those rocks came from the moon?
We literally have so much undiscovered shit in the ocean.
There's a flag.
all over the place.
Nelson says there's a flag on the moon.
Nelson, how do you know there's a flag? Because you saw those recordings.
We have mirrors we planted onto the moon. All right.
You guys just have.
I don't think people were prepared for this discussion, and they're just, you know what I'm saying?
Middle, there's a flag. Again, how do you know that there's a flag? Have you been there?
We have recordings. All right, let's just move on.
Oh, sorry, documentary called
Okay. For the last time, how do we know that those recordings were done fucking hundreds of thousands of miles up in the air on the moon versus Santa Barbara Boulevard? How do you know?
Negative vibes. You're saying we have telescopes that are so accurate we can see onto the moon and see the flag that's there?
You can see a flag on the moon.
That's what you're telling us?
Oh, well, if you can.
I've never heard of these.
If you can.
We need one of these fucking telescopes.
I
need to see. Yeah.
No. If you can see a flag on the moon, that would be significant to me.
That's different for me.
That would be evidence. If somebody said, what would
me.
be evidence? That would be evidence. If I can look through a fucking telescope and see a flag on the moon,
yeah.
I'm with it.
I am too.
Do not show me a Google picture, negative vibes.
Nope.
Get me the address from this observatory that shows me the fucking flag on the moon. That's what I want to see. Okay. All right. So this is a music reaction channel. I promise you guys on when season 3 comes up, we're gonna have a lot of these. It's gonna be great.
We'll have more of these arguments with you guys.
All I'm saying is MJ says, I'm shocked when my government doesn't lie to be correct. Mm-hmm. This is the same government that told us about our man.
Yeah, Delaney, I don't believe it either, but I didn't want to just assume. Perhaps people know things that I don't know, so I'm like
I am agnostic on it, and I will probably remain agnostic on it unless I go to this observatory and see this flag. If they say there's a flag on the moon, then I'm gonna believe.
No. If there's an observatory that like zeroes in on this flag on the moon and you look through and you see it, I don't trust that. If I have a telescope that I buy from Joe Schmo and we all have our own telescopes and we can all see
That's ridiculous.
Like, how do you know that that's not planted?
No. You get these like $1 billion telescopes that can like zero in, and like your little telescope from Walmart is not going to.
That's what I'm saying. But how do you know that one isn't?
I would concede that point, because then what we would have to say is like they've got this observatory which obviously has an address on it, and they're claiming that there's a flag on the moon. There's lots of people who are skeptical that would want to debunk that, right?
Yeah.
So they would drive to that place and say, ain't no fucking moon there. So send me the link, vinandsori@gmail.com. Send me the link where I can see this flag from the earth. And if it is, I'll say, hey, we went to the moon. We beat the Russians. USA, bitch.
Bro, that's obvious Photoshop. What do you mean? All right, you guys.
I'm just blown away that people think that we had the technology to be able to live stream the fucking moon landing from Earth, but not the technology to fake it. I'm blown away by that. Like, I can't understand that. I don't get it. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, she's really carrying the whole question everything. I thought we were supposed to question everything.
Yeah.
What happened to that? I thought we were all Tool fans here. What's going on?